What if you had a map for your entire financial life? I'm not talking about a budget or some complicated spreadsheet, but a real, actual map. One that shows you exactly where you are right now and the path to the very summit of true financial freedom. Well, that's exactly what we're exploring today with the 7 levels of wealth. And trust me, this isn't just about money. It's a guide for one of the most important journeys you'll ever take.
So, as we get started, I want you to ask yourself a serious question. Where are you on this path? Are you at the foot of the mountain, just kind of packing your gear? Or are you maybe already part of the way up? Each level we're going to talk about is like a new base camp, a new milestone on the way to the top. So think of me as your guide for this expedition. Let's do this.
All right, here's our trail map for the journey ahead. First up, we're going to establish our base camp. This is all about finding security. Then we'll begin the ascent to freedom. After that, we'll get a glimpse of the summit of abundance, and finally, we'll wrap it all up by charting your path forward, complete with the practical tools you'll need and the traps to watch out for. Sound good? Let's get started.
Every single great expedition starts with a solid base camp. I mean, you wouldn't even think about climbing Mount Everest without one, right? You'd get wiped out. Well, your financial journey is exactly the same. These first 3 levels are all about building that secure foundation, so when the inevitable storms of life hit, and they will hit, you aren't blown right off the mountain.
This is where most journeys begin. Level 1, financial dependence. And let's be totally honest, this is pure survival mode. It's that feeling of your stomach just dropping when the check engine light comes on in your car. A $500 car repair isn't just an inconvenience, it's a potential catastrophe that could spiral you into high-interest debt. The mental weight of living at this level, it's just immense. You're not making strategic choices with your money, you're just reacting, constantly trying to plug holes in a sinking ship.
And here's the brutal reality of level 1. For a lot of people, your net worth isn't just zero. It's often negative. With student loans, credit card balances, car payments, your debts actually outweigh your assets. It's like being told you have to run a marathon, but you have to start a full mile behind the starting line. You have to work like crazy just to get back to zero. And that climb, man, it feels incredibly daunting.
So how do you escape? How do you get out of level 1? Well, it really comes down to these 4 critical first steps. First, you have to face the numbers. That means a brutally honest budget where every single dollar has a job. No hiding, no guessing. Second, you got to stop the bleeding. Cut up the credit cards if you have to. The main goal is to stop accumulating any new high-interest debt, because that's like trying to climb out of a hole while someone is still shoveling dirt on top of you. Third, find extra income. Even an extra $100 a month from a side gig can be an absolute game changer. And finally, maybe the most important step of all, save a buffer. Just $500. This tiny fund is the first handhold you get on that rock face. It's what stops the next flat tire from sending you spiraling right back to square one.
Reaching level 2, financial stability, is a massive psychological victory. It's the first time you can truly take a full, deep breath. You're no longer living right on the absolute edge. You've got that small emergency fund, and you have a written-down plan to attack your debt. Now, the stress hasn't vanished, but for the very first time, you feel like you are in control of your money, not the other way around. You've gone from being reactive to being proactive.
And this brings us to level 3, financial security. This is it. This is your fully established storm-proof base camp. At this level, you're debt-free, except for maybe a sensible mortgage. You have a full 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved up in cash. This is huge. It means if you get laid off, you don't panic. You have a runway. You have time to make a good decision, not a desperate one. And most critically, you flip the switch and are now consistently investing 15% or more of your income, building for your future.
Okay, let's pause here for a second, because the transition we're about to make is the most important mindset shift in this entire journey. Everything up to this point has been about playing defense, surviving, paying off debt, building a defensive wall. It's necessary, for sure, but man, it's exhausting. But now you get to play offense. Your focus shifts from scarcity to accumulation. Your best friend is no longer just your budget. It's the silent, unstoppable power of compound interest working for you 24/7. This is where the real climb begins.
Okay, with our base camp totally secure, we can begin the real ascent. We're now moving into the next stage of our climb, reaching the first major peaks. This is where the air gets clearer. Yeah, the path gets a little steeper, but the views of what's possible, real freedom and independence, they start to open up right in front of you.
And here it is, the goal that fuels an entire movement, Level 4, Financial Independence, or FI for short. This is the FI in the FIRE movement, Financial Independence, Retire Early. It's a really simple but profound concept. Your investments now generate enough passive income to cover your essential living expenses forever. This is the moment you literally sever the link between your time and your survival. Work becomes a choice you make, not a place you're forced to go.
So how do you know your number? How much do you need? Well, the math is surprisingly simple. You just take your total annual expenses and you multiply them by 25. Now, why 25? This is based on a concept called the 4% rule, which is a guideline that suggests you can safely withdraw 4% of your investment portfolio each year without it running out. And since 4% is 1/25 of your total, you need 25 times your expenses saved. So, for example, if your basic living expenses are, say, $50,000 a year, you multiply that by 25, and your target FI number is $1.25 million. But hey, the climb doesn't stop at independence for everyone. Level 5 is financial freedom, and this is a significant step up. At this level, your investments don't just cover your basic needs, they cover your desired lifestyle, and that includes luxuries. You want to fly first class without even thinking about it, own a vacation home, dine at the best restaurants and not even glance at the prices? That, my friends, is financial freedom. Money is just no longer a major factor in your day-to-day decisions.
And to put a number on it, this level of freedom typically requires a net worth of $5 million or more. I mean, this firmly places you in the top 1% to 2% of all households. At this stage, you've built a significant financial fortress. You've got a deep moat of wealth that protects your lifestyle from pretty much any market swing or economic downturn. You're not just secure anymore, you are truly insulated. All right, now we're climbing into the rarefied air of the summit. We're entering the final 2 levels, and up here, the very definition of wealth changes. It totally transcends personal needs and desires. The central question shifts from, what can this money do for me, to, what can this money do for the world?
Welcome to Level 6, Financial Abundance. At this stage, you have more money than you or your great-grandchildren could possibly spend in several lifetimes. We're talking about a net worth that starts around $50 million and climbs way up into the hundreds of millions. People here don't just write a check to a charity, they found the charity. They don't just donate to a university, their name is on the university. They are literally shaping policy and creating entire industries.
And finally, we reach the absolute peak of the mountain. Level 7, Transcendent Wealth. At this point, the money itself is almost an afterthought. The real legacy is the permanent, fundamental change you created in the world. Think about it. We remember Andrew Carnegie not for his steel fortune, but for the thousands of public libraries that still educate people today. We'll remember Bill Gates' work to eradicate diseases long after his wealth is gone. The money was just the fuel for a vision that outlives the person for centuries.
So just how rare is this level? The numbers are absolutely staggering. The estimated percentage of the population that ever reaches this final level is just 0.01%. Let that sink in for a second. This isn't the 1% we hear about all the time. This is a tiny, tiny fraction of the 1%. Reaching this peak is a truly monumental, almost historical achievement.
Okay, after that breathtaking view from the summit, let's kind of rappel back down to earth and focus on your personal expedition. Because look, every climb requires the right gear and a sharp eye for danger. So let's talk about the tools you need in your backpack and the common traps you absolutely need to avoid on your path.
Okay, these are the most common vehicles for your climb. If your employer offers a 401k match, that is priority number 1. It's free money, an immediate 100% return on your investment. You can't beat it. A Roth IRA is incredibly powerful because your investments grow and can be withdrawn completely tax-free in retirement. An HSA, a health savings account, is like a secret weapon. It's triple tax advantaged. Money goes in tax-free, grows tax-free, and comes out tax-free for medical expenses. It's amazing. For most people, the simplest, most effective path is just consistently buying low-cost index funds, which let you own a small piece of the entire market. And of course, real estate and business ownership offer the highest potential rewards, but they definitely come with significantly higher risk and effort.
Now for the traps, the things that can send you tumbling right back down the mountain. The first, and honestly the biggest, is lifestyle inflation. This is, without a doubt, the single reason why so many high-income earners stay stuck on the lower levels. You get a raise, and what happens? You immediately buy a bigger house. You get a bonus, you lease a fancier car. If your spending always rises to meet your income, you are on a treadmill. You will never, ever make progress up the mountain.
And that's directly tied to the second major trap, comparison culture. You know, the old saying was, keeping up with the Joneses. But today, thanks to social media, it feels like we're trying to keep up with everyone, everywhere, all at once. And here's the dirty little secret. The Joneses are probably financing that lifestyle with a mountain of debt. It's a game you literally can't win. It just drives financial decisions based on ego and appearance, not on a sound strategy to build your real wealth.
This chart right here shows the critical difference. Look at that first bar, perceived wealth. That's the person with the fancy car and the big house. Their visible status is high, sure, but their actual wealth and level of freedom are often very low because it's all built on debt. Now look at the second bar, actual wealth. They might drive a modest car, but because their net worth is high and their debt is low, their level of true freedom, that third bar, is completely off the charts. You have to remember this. Never ever confuse the symbols of wealth with wealth itself.
So I want to leave you with this final thought. This journey up the 7 levels of wealth, it isn't really about accumulating more stuff. It's a journey from survival to security, from security to independence, and ultimately to real freedom. So as you think about your own climb, wherever you might be on the path, ask yourself this: what do you want your wealth to empower you to do? And maybe more importantly, who do you want it to empower you to become? Finding the answer to that, that's the real summit.